So public relations.
Okay, so let me see here. So I talked about the definition for promotion, and then I talked about integrated communications program, right?
Yes, sir.
And also I talked about why the concept of promotion is important. And then we talked about role of promotion and communication, the 2 slides, and then I looked at, well, it looks good. I mean, so we'll talk about public relations. Okay. So we covered this slide, also the next slide, and then, we have public relations, but, let's wait for the class to come in and we'll get started. Again, in the meantime, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Group number 13, 13, I want you guys to kind of stay after class and talk to me a little bit. I have like only 10 minutes after class today, but we need to address an issue. So please stay back.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Sepide, yeah, go ahead. I see your hand up.
Good morning, sir. Actually, we wanted to ask you to please stay after class to talk to you about our subject and job that.
Yeah, I can stay for only 10 minutes today because I have an important meeting, and then I can of course come back after the meeting and you guys can join me. But I have concerns about your new group because I think you emailed me last night that that you switched, and then it also said that you're done with half the project. I mean, that is not feasible in my mind. So either you have to go back to the old group, or your group has to start working on a new project, because I in my vast experience, I mean, we cannot do half a project in half a day. I mean, and you weren't even a part of this group also. So if that group has already worked on half a project, you haven't worked on it at all. So that is not fair for the rest of the students. So that's number one. And also you raised the issue of this various time difference, time zone. To me, I thought that was an exciting situation to be in, because it's a whole different world now. People are working from different time zones. I have friends that are based in the US that are working simultaneously with people in Germany, in China, and in India, all different time zones. And this is what the reality of life is for the next 20, 30 years. So to raise the issue of having to work with people in 3 time zones, I don't think that makes really good sense. I mean, if I were you or anybody in this class, who had the opportunity to work with 3 people across 3 time zones, I would grab that opportunity with both hands and run. So something, it doesn't, pass the smell test about this group project. So we need to talk seriously about this, and we need to kind of rectify this situation. I don't know what else is going on with other groups, because I haven't talked with them. But when you mentioned that half the project is done, that raised a flag in my head, given that you just joined like last evening. So we'll talk about this in the 10 minutes. Let's stop right now, and I'll be happy to answer any other questions that you guys may have.
We will stay after the class to talk to you.
Yeah, we have 10 minutes. But in the class, seriously think about these issues. Something is in my mind, something it doesn't I cannot connect the dots. And one thing for the whole class, I mean, if for example, 2 groups or more than 2 groups end up choosing the same 2 companies or the same 2 brands to write about, it's fine. I don't care. As long as what you present, across the groups, the presentations are not exactly the same. And actually, if multiple groups are tackling the same products, it's interesting for me because I get to see the same thing from multiple angles. And it's easier for me to actually compare the projects and grade the projects, because the grading is always almost comparative. So don't worry about others kind of, running with your ideas here, as long as it's done independently. Okay, how many do we have in class? We have 61. So let's wait for maybe 2-3 minutes and then we'll get started. Questions? Very quickly, next week, Thursday is Thanksgiving in the US. I still don't know what I'm doing on Thanksgiving. It'll kind of be a last minute decision, but that last minute is like, by this weekend, I'll have to make a call. I guess people are asking people not to travel much at all. So that's it's a hard decision that I'll have to make about whether I'm going to go to New York or not. If I go to New York, then most likely I won't be teaching on Thursday. So what will happen is I will be using at least one of the makeup days, which is the 3rd of December. I think so, right? Well, the following Tuesday, and probably given how far back we have fallen, I might actually use both makeup days, even though I don't have to technically use both makeup days this semester. So I just want to kind of raise those flags in your head so that you keep the following Tuesday and Thursday those days open, because those are makeup class days just in case. Anything else? Okay, still we're at 61. I don't know if we will have everybody. I mean, Rocky, you might want to kind of make a note of who's here, because people just kind of ambling into class late. I don't think we should give them credit for the class. Nilufar, I think it's on the 19th. You're correct, but please double check. I'll also double check. And I think it's for both sections, it's actually now at 8 o'clock. So it'll happen simultaneously. And the deadline for the project submission is the 14th. We have plenty of time between now and then. It's almost a month, 3 days less. So, better spend time on your project and spend a good amount of time. I do have, just to let you know, I think I posted it, copies of all old projects, electronic copies. So please make sure that you are working on your projects. It's basically an original project that you are going to submit. Okay. Yeah, you have 2 exams. That's fine. This is a date I cannot change. This is a final exam from the registrar's office, and I think the standard rule in this part of the world, at least in the US, is when you have 3 or more exams, then there's flexibility. But the registrar's office has given that date, so it'll have to be that date. And I guarantee you, it's not going to be an it's not going to be an overlap of time, because if that happens, then they are big time messed up. So. Yeah, let's get started right now. I mean, what can we do? I mean, 2 exams. It's kind of like when you work, you have 2 presentations on one day. So that's how it is. Okay, so one more thing before we get started here. So I was looking at your grades and looking at the average. So what I'm going to do, like you're flooding my office room. You're crying so hard. So what I'm going to do is, bump up the average, for both classes to 80. So for this class, I think it's going to go up by like 2 points. And for the other class, it's going to go up by slightly more than 2 points, because the averages were kind of close to each other. So that's a little, tiny curve that I'm going to do. So Rocky and I have worked on that. So, and we just have to kind of upgrade the, don't cry. You're going to make me feel sad this morning. It's a very nice morning out there. That's the little. Or are you crying because I'm giving you a couple of extra points on the exam? I can take those points back away. I mean, no problem. So, tell me why you are crying. No, it's for the exams. Oh my God! Now Daddy wakes up and he goes, "How many points?" After I've told you how many points.
Oh, sorry, I didn't get the number of points you said you were going to have.
It's not too many. Don't get too excited. The average for this class was
Oh,
78. I'm going to bump it up to 80. So it's basically a couple of points. And 80 average is pretty strong.
sorry, I didn't get that.
Huh?
Okay. I didn't get that. It's average for the class is 80. Is it in the last test?
It's 78 in the last test.
Okay, so you said you're going to add up some points.
Yeah. So you see, these averages these days are very different from averages, when we were growing up.
Okay.
If I ever scored a 78 on any exam, my parents would go ecstatic, man. I mean, they would basically, hire a, band party or something and let the entire neighborhood know that I got a 78.
Oh, great.
Yeah, but nowadays 78 people cry. And the parents
Yeah,
kind of are
it's
hiding.
really
They don't tell their neighbors that my son or daughter got a 78.
yeah, it's
Parents,
really tough considering the
I
fact
think,
that
Aniza, I don't know what are your parents saying, Aniza? What are they demanding from you?
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
Most of the times, good grades, I guess.
that's what they're asking you to get?
Uh, Actually, as this is masters, they're not interfering much, but whole life I've faced this scenario, like get a good grade